out.
All right, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Pepper. I'm polyamorous. I'm kinky. I'm an educator and organizer in the polyamory and BDSM communities in San Francisco.
How long you been polyamorous or been practicing polyamory?
I would say I've successfully been practicing polyamory since about 2003. Um, there was a lot of failures before that, of the high school and college variety, trying to be non-monogamous and having it go horribly, horribly wrong.
What does your relationship dynamic look like?
Right now, I have a number of partners. Five is the number, it's significant for me. Maybe not for anyone else, but definitely for me. Um, I have one partner I live with and I have a child with. We're sort of highly entangled. And then I have four other people I'm seeing, um, three women and one uh, person of indeterminate gender. Uh, and I'm, significantly involved with all of those. In addition, I definitely have a history of having more lightweight connections with various other people. At times that's been up to 10, but it's actually a very low number for me right now, just maybe one or two. Um, and I've gone to sex parties, held sex parties, play parties, things like that.
What aspect of polyamory do you excel at?
Okay. There's a funny quality about me, which is I'm super low jealousy. Um, and that's, I think, partly due to my upbringing. I had a proper upbringing, a proper non monogamous family upbringing. My parents had an open relationship. So I think I had a strong jealousy counterexample from a young age. And that means that, there are things that sort of get me a little bit eventually, but, by and large, I just don't have it. Certainly, those, extremely visceral, emotional jealousy reactions that other people feel, I just don't have. And that's been good and bad. It's good because I don't, um, people do things and I'm like, yay, I'm glad you're doing that thing. Um, but it's bad because often I don't understand jealousy of my partners and I'm not ready for it or triggers or what have you. Insecurities, I'm not good at handling those.
And what aspect of polyamory do you struggle with?
Um, Overcommitment is definitely one. That just sounds like, boasting a little bit. Historically, I've struggled with just the thing I said about jealousy, which is really learning to balance and pay attention to sort of everyone's needs and insecurities that are often very different from my own and that I don't understand well. Um, and doing that sort of in a, for me, highly constrained time environment, right? Like a situation where I just don't have a huge amount of time, period, or for my relationships, or in some cases for a particular connection.
And how do you address or overcome those struggles?
Mostly I've learned to sort of negotiate. Actually, there's just a lot of negotiation of and often it's experiential. I did this thing and it tripped a thing for you, and now we have a problem, and so next time I'm going to try to not do that thing. And sometimes often it takes me a number of times to learn for a particular partner. But we sort of negotiate our way through it and try to, I think when I'm doing well at this sort of stuff, I'm staying very much in a place of love with my partners and sort of working through negotiations in what I think of as a collaborative sense. There might be some problem where one of us has an issue or is angry or is triggered by something that's going on in the relationship, and when we can say, hey, we don't like this, we like for things to be better between us, how can we, you and I, both work on this together, each in our respective roles, um, to make it go better now and in the future? That's really what helps the best.
In terms of risk aware slash safer sex, what do you and your partners do to protect one another?
Um, I use condoms almost exclusively for intercourse. Um, and There's also a lot of testing and sort of just like regular testing protocols. I'm sort of on the like 3 to 6 month testing plan, and I get tested for things like trichomoniasis and the blood test for HSV2 and other things that people don't do much. I got a testing service that I just pay for because convincing doctors to every 4 months got too hard. So advertisement, tstd.org, do that thing. But in addition, there's a thing in the communities I move in, especially, where people are just very responsible about thinking about what they have and reporting on it, and not. I think there's definitely this impulse to be like, oh well, I sort of got this rash, but like, whatever, big deal. That's out in the culture, and I found that in the circles I move in, like, there's really a community ethic of like being on top of it, reporting, being like, there's this thing happening, I don't even know what it is. Let's negotiate that before any kind of sexual contact or what have you. That makes it just a lot easier to handle these situations. We actually, in my community, we had a scabies breakout of all things, because we touch a lot, and touching is how you pass that. And only a couple people had symptoms, but like 40 people did the treatment because everyone wanted to be on top of it. So just that like sense of like, let's talk, let's do it together, let's be on top of it.
What is the worst mistake you've ever made in your polyamorous history, and how did you rebound from that?
That's easy. The worst mistake I made was before 2003, back when things were not good. I tried to date people who are monogamous. And some people can do that. Like, let me say, I'm not saying never date monogamous people or recently monogamous people or anything like that. But I kind of have a non-monogamous background, and I'm one of those people you might call like a super slut in certain ways. Not in the extent of what I do, but just in the sort of ease with which I do it. And that kicks a lot of people. So for a long time, the joke was that I was like the non-monogamous, the poly person that turned people monogamous, right? Like, because they had such a hard time handling me just being like, yes, I had sex with this person, yay, right, or whatever. So I learned that I personally need to really date people with sort of like a confirmed history of non-monogamy, and things go so much better.
What self-identities are important to you, and how do you feel like being polyamorous intersects with or affects these identities? And that's a bonus, like if you end up not wanting to answer that one.
I think I should answer that. The identities that are important to me, so from a sex-positive perspective, are like polyamory and BDSM. And those two have definitely gone together. Like, I was non-monogamous before I was into kink, but being in kink made it so much more important. Just because I could connect with the people with the different kinks in the ways that I wanted at the times I wanted, and so on and so forth. Having that freedom for me is a huge thing in polyamory. It's super important. But increasingly, my identity as an activist and a white person is getting more and more relevant as I'm in a relationship with a woman of color, and like sort of like, because I'm polyamorous, I'm in that relationship, and we deal with polyamory as part of that relationship, and we end up dealing with and having a lot of discussions about like, how does race intersect with what we are doing here.
And last but not least, do you have any groups, projects, websites, blogs, anything that anything that you're involved in that you want to promote?
I've definitely slowed down, but you can go look at a bunch of my writings at freaksexual.com. You can also, I said I slowed down, right? Look at me. I just finished writing a book, Playing Fair, a guide to, let's do this, we're totally doing this. Ta-da! Here is the book. It's a guide to non-monogamy for men and to women specifically. It's supplemental. Please read more than 2 and then read this book as well if you are one of these people. Or please give this book to your partners who are men into women. Thank you very much. And I've done a bunch of other stuff, but yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
All right.
Thank you.